Alright, let's head into the wild world of some of nature's sneakiest survivors. We're talking about ticks. These aren't insects. They're actually arachnids, just like spiders and scorpions. That means they have 8 legs, but you might only see 6 on the youngest ones. These tiny creatures are found all over the globe, especially in warm and humid places. They thrive in grassy fields, dense forests, and even your own backyard. They're masters of patience, waiting quietly for their next meal to walk by. It's their incredible ability to go unnoticed that makes them such effective and sometimes dangerous parasites. There are over 900 different species of ticks, but they mostly fall into 2 main families. First you have the hard ticks, or Ixodidae. These are the ones most people think of. They have a hard shield, called a scutum, on their backs, and their mouth parts are easy to see from above. They're the long-haul feeders, staying attached to a host for days or even a week. Then you have the soft ticks, or Argicidae. These guys are a bit different. They have leathery, bumpy bodies and their mouth parts are hidden underneath, so you can't see them from the top. They prefer to feed quickly, often for just a few hours. Beyond these 2 major groups, there's a really unique and rare third family with only 1 member, Nataliella namaqua. This tick is considered a living fossil, a link to the ancient ancestors of all modern ticks. Found in parts of southern Africa, it shares traits with both hard and soft ticks, making it a real scientific puzzle. It's a reminder of how diverse and ancient the tick lineage truly is. Studying this one-of-a-kind species helps scientists understand the evolutionary journey these fascinating arachnids have taken over millions of years, adapting to become the ultimate blood-sucking specialists we see today. So how do these tiny terrors find you? Ticks are equipped with an amazing sensory tool called the Haller's organ, located on their front legs. This organ can detect temperature changes, humidity, and the carbon dioxide you breathe out. Hard ticks use a behavior called questing. They climb up a blade of grass or a leaf, hold on with their back legs and stretch their front legs out, waiting for an unsuspecting animal or person to brush past. Soft ticks, on the other hand, often live right in the nests or burrows of their hosts, like birds and small mammals, coming out at night to feed while their host is sleeping. Every tick goes through a remarkable transformation, a life cycle that requires a blood meal at each stage to continue. It all begins with a tiny egg. A single adult female can lay thousands of eggs before her life is over. From these eggs hatch the first stage, the larva. These 6-legged larvae are incredibly small, about the size of a grain of sand. They need to find their first host, usually a small mammal like a mouse or a bird, to have their first blood meal. Without this meal, they can't grow and move on to the next phase of their life. It's a crucial first step in a long journey. After feeding for a few days, the larva drops off its host and molts, transforming into a nymph. The nymph now has 8 legs, just like an adult, but it's still very small, about the size of a poppy seed. This tiny size makes nymphs particularly dangerous because they are so hard to spot on a person or pet. Just like the larva, the nymph must find a host for its next blood meal. This time the host might be a bit larger, like a raccoon, a squirrel, or even a person. This stage is when ticks are most active during the spring and summer months, right when we're all outside enjoying the weather. Once the nymph has had its fill of blood, it detaches and finds a safe place to molt one last time, finally becoming an adult. As an adult, the tick's final mission is to find a third and final host. These hosts are often large animals like deer, dogs, or humans. For adult ticks, this last meal is all about reproduction. The males and females will often mate right on the host. After feeding, the male dies and the female drops to the ground to lay her thousands of eggs, starting the entire incredible cycle all over again. This whole process can take over a year to complete. The way a tick feeds is a marvel of natural engineering. It uses its sharp serrated mouthparts called chelicerae to cut a small hole in the host's skin. Then it inserts a barbed harpoon-like feeding tube called a hypostome. The backward-facing barbs on the hypostome act like an anchor, making the tick incredibly difficult to remove once it's latched on. It's a secure connection that allows the tick to feed undisturbed for days on end. This powerful attachment mechanism is a key part of what makes ticks such successful and persistent parasites in the animal kingdom. Now, the reason we have to be so careful with ticks is that their bite is more than just an annoyance. A tick's saliva is a complex chemical cocktail. It contains anesthetics to numb the area, so the host doesn't feel the bite and try to scratch it off. It also has anti-inflammatories to prevent swelling and anticoagulants to keep the blood flowing freely. This amazing saliva allows the tick to feed undetected for long periods. As it feeds, a hard tick can swell up to 600 times its original size, growing new cells in its cuticle to accommodate the massive intake of blood. This feeding process is how ticks become vectors for disease. If a tick feeds on an infected animal, it can pick up bacteria, viruses, or protozoa. Then, when it bites its next host, it can transmit those pathogens through its saliva. One of the most well-known tick-borne illnesses is Lyme disease, caused by the Borrelia burgdorferi bacteria. In North America, a tick typically needs to be attached for at least 36 hours to transmit the bacteria. Early symptoms can include fever, fatigue, and sometimes a distinctive bullseye rash around the bite, but if left untreated, it can lead to serious joint, heart, and nervous system problems. Another bizarre and increasingly common issue is the alpha-gal allergy. This is an allergy to red meat that can be triggered by the bite of certain ticks, like the Lone Star tick. Here's how it works. The tick bites an animal like a deer and ingests a sugar molecule called alpha-gal. Later, when that same tick bites a human, it injects the alpha-gal into the person's bloodstream. The person's immune system can then develop an allergic response to it. From then on, eating red meat, which also contains alpha-gal, can cause a severe allergic reaction. It's a life-changing condition caused by one tiny bite. It's not just humans who are at risk. Our animal companions and wildlife suffer greatly from ticks too. A heavy tick infestation can cause severe anemia from continuous blood loss, especially in smaller or younger animals. This can lead to weakness, loss of appetite, and even death. Some ticks, like the Australian paralysis tick, inject a neurotoxin in their saliva that can cause paralysis in dogs and livestock, starting in the hind legs and moving through the body. For our pets and for animals in the wild, ticks represent a constant and serious threat to their health and survival. So how do we protect ourselves and our animal friends from these tiny terrorists? Nature has its own ways of keeping tick populations in check. A healthy ecosystem with a good balance of predators helps control the populations of small animals like mice and voles, which are major hosts for ticks in their early life stages. Fewer small hosts mean fewer ticks survive to become adults. So, protecting natural habitats and the predators that live there, like foxes and birds of prey, is actually a great first line of defense against the spread of ticks and the diseases they carry. When you're heading outdoors, personal prevention is absolutely key. Always use an EPA-approved insect repellent on your skin and clothing, especially if you're going into wooded or grassy areas. Wearing light-colored clothing can make it easier to spot a tick that's crawling on you. Tucking your pants into your socks and wearing long sleeves can also create a physical barrier. After spending time outside, it's crucial to do a thorough body check. Look everywhere, in your hair, behind your knees, under your arms, and around your waist. Remember to check your pets and your gear too. Scientists are also exploring some really innovative methods for controlling tick populations, including biological controls. One of the most promising ideas involves a tiny creature called the tick wasp. This isn't a wasp that will sting you, but a parasitoid that lays its eggs inside of a tick. When the wasp larvae hatch, they eat the tick from the inside out, killing it before it can reproduce or transmit disease. While this is still in the research phase, it shows how we can use nature's own systems to fight back against these pests in a targeted and environmentally friendly way. Ultimately, the best defense against ticks is awareness and caution. Understanding where they live, how they behave, and the risks they pose is the most powerful tool you have. By taking simple preventive measures, you can continue to enjoy the great outdoors while significantly reducing your risk of a tick bite. Whether you're hiking a mountain trail, playing in your backyard, or just walking your dog, a little bit of knowledge and a few precautions can make all the difference. Stay safe, stay aware, and keep exploring the incredible world around us.